Jessica recently spoke to an expert about how you can protect yourself, and here's that conversation.
As the COVID-19 health crisis continues and so many more of us are home and working from home, we've all adapted to new technology. And for many folks, that includes using Zoom to chat and connect with friends or business associates for work, for play. We're all using it. But what we need to keep in mind is we may not be alone. Barry Moore with the Better Business Bureau of Central Virginia joins us today with something we may not have heard of before or getting more familiar with Zoom bombing. Barry, it's good to see you this morning.
It's great talking to the CBS 6 family.
We're happy to have you. You always provide such great advice, and we're starting to hear more inklings of this technology with Zoom, and it's put everybody's antenna up. Zoom bombing is the first time I've heard it called that. What is this all about?
Zoom bombing is kind of a new thing, of course. And so you have an organization that's going to have a meeting, and they're using Zoom. And with the Zoom, people start coming up onto the screen. And if you're not careful, you'll have 15 or 20 people or more on a Zoom meeting, but you won't notice one face in the crowd. That's not your staff. So you'll start talking about strategies, events, issues among the team, financials, and so forth, only to realize later when that person starts making untoward comments, kind of punks really, or cursing on the screen, and next thing you know, you've been Zoom bombed. That's just one thing. Another way that people will do it, just because they will just come into your screen at any point and start yelling or start doing something off color and not just taking notes and trying to steal business information.
Well, it's interesting, Barry, because we are starting to hear a little bit more about this. I had heard more about the maybe taking control of a meeting and putting up unsavory images or just being a general disruption. I hadn't considered that someone could effectively be eavesdropping on your business plans and financials.
And that's terrible when that happens because then you wonder, well, gee whiz, did we say the wrong thing or is somebody going to use information that we're talking about during a staff meeting and so forth? You have to be very careful. There's a few tips that you can take and should keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, just even being aware that this could be the scenario is a big part of that. But let's dive right in. What are some of those tips and how do we regain control to prevent the Zoom bombing?
Zoom is a pretty cool thing. By the way, Kevin Wan actually started the company. He said recently that he went from 10 million users the end of December to 200 million in 3 months, the end of
Wow.
March. And their company have been overwhelmed. So they're really working hard, three shift sort of things to try to solve all these sort of security things. But there are some things that Zoom already has out there that we can use. One of them is make sure that when you're zooming into it, that you're getting into a Zoom meeting, you use a dialer with a password. And Zoom offers this. It's very easy. Just put a password into it. You can embed a password in a meeting link for a one-click join. Now, this sounds like Greek until you start looking in Zoom, and it's just very easy to follow the steps. It'll ask you by a prompt, do you want to have a password? Do you want this and do you want that? Another thing is to review the settings and confirm only the attendees on the share screen. And this is where if you have a big herd of people in a meeting, you can get somebody lost in the crowd up there. So make sure that you go through individually and have people say here, 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 and so forth. And then lastly, watch out for cyber criminals impersonating a Zoom site. And this is what they do. They will put a Zoom-like site up. So you go to the internet and say you're a new person, you need to download Zoom, and you'll download their site. And then first thing you know, they've got you for a lot of personal information until you catch on, wait a minute, this is not the correct site. So unfortunately, criminals and scammers don't take a day off, and the deadly COVID-19 crisis that we've been wrestling with around the world, well, that's just like winning the lottery for a lot of these criminals and scammers. They just step up their game and then go after the money and the people.
Well, several weeks ago, all of this was new to us. And now that we're starting to settle in somewhat to using this technology, it's good to make sure that you go in and take the time to manage those settings and set things up so you are establishing security. Barry, thanks for putting this on our radar. We really appreciate it.
Always happy to help. Thank you very much.
Good to have you. And we will include a link to all this information that Barry shared with us today later on our show on our website, WTVR.com/BTM. You can go there to find a link to everything we've covered. Right now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a minute.